I wouldn't want to give you the impression that once you've sowed and planted your veg out, that nothing's going to go wrong. Well, it does, doesn't it, occasionally? The thing is, you need not use chemicals. I've been organic for 30 years now in my garden, and it's so important in the veg garden that when you're picking your crops, you know what's gone into them and what isn't on them. They're pure, they've only been washed by rainwater. I'm not going to talk about next door's cat. Okay, now, protecting them from birds is one of the biggest things, particularly with things like brassicas, relatives of the cabbages, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, kale, things like that, and also peas. I've got some peas here. The easiest way to keep birds off is to use netting like this, stretched over canes or hoops of wire, and it then actually stops the birds from getting down onto those crops. With things like cabbages, you will have to lift the netting, raise it up as the plants grow. But I use this sort of stuff and it's perfect. It really does do the job without involving any chemicals at all. So that's to keep birds off. If you've put a crop in, you've sowed it, it's come up, the weather's a bit chilly, you want to keep it warm and snug, then this stuff is good. This is horticultural fleece. If you look at the weave on this, you'll see it's almost like a little cloud. And this, spread over your crops and weighted down with stones, because it will blow away in the wind if you don't, will make sure that underneath there's a kind of microclimate which just helps to protect them a little bit from frost too. If you're a bit worried about frost coming late in the season after you've sowed, spread fleece over, weight it down. You can take it off during the day, and do take off fleece if it's over a crop when the sun comes out and gets hot, because a crop can actually cook underneath it. In terms of keeping carrot fly and flea beetles off radishes and carrots, then close weave mesh like this is brilliant. It's fine enough weave to keep the flies out, but also to let air in and out. It will let the crop underneath breathe. It won't give you the same sort of problem that fleece would with overheating. It will also let rain through. So spreading fine weave netting over your carrots is a brilliant way of preventing carrot fly. And then our old enemy, the slug and snail. You plant your lettuces out and overnight in they come. Well, it's difficult without using pellets, which none of us want to use because hedgehogs get at them and household pets get at them. Pellets are out really, but sharp grit will at least discourage them. Spreading this in a little circle around those lettuces when you put them in will help, and then they'll be away and they'll have grown large enough to be able to resist the majority of attack, and it'll only be on the outside leaves. Then, of course, once the things are coming up, it's these little green things that keep appearing in between the rows. Weeds. That's why we sow and plant in rows, so we can see where the crop is and know that anything that is in between those rows is a weed. Easiest thing on the veg patch, this thing called a Dutch hoe. It's shaped like a horseshoe. Keep that edge really sharp. You can file it to keep it sharp, and you can even do this kneeling down as I am. Skim it. Don't dig with a Dutch hoe, but skim it across the surface and you'll see it separates the top growth of those little weeds from their roots. Do that regularly, especially in fine dry weather, and then the weeds themselves, those little seedlings, will just bake up to a crisp on the surface. But that's all about the problems, really. Growing veg is about pleasure, and most of the time, that's just what you have.